All right. So as you guys know, I jump really high, and John, he writes all my training. But John also writes the training for two other freak athletes. They are big mother effers.
Good job not
And
swearing.
yeah. They are some big MFers, and they did a 1v1 dunk contest. So we're gonna watch the video, and then and give our thoughts as we watch it and all that. And after the video's done, we're gonna give you guys some insight into their training, why they jump as high as they do, and what kind of the future of their training is gonna look like. So without further ado, let's get this party started. I'm really excited to watch this,
Yeah, I bet you are, you little fiend.
especially since today is jump day.
Oh yeah, Isaiah.
All right,
Let's do. So you want to do this one?
yeah,
All right, let's
you
see
ready?
it. Yeah, let it rip.
Ever Dunkademics 1v1. On my left here, I've got Donovan Hawkins. On my right, got Mason Baker. They're both similar height, similar plant, so it should be a great showdown. What do you guys feel like today? How's it gonna go down?
Good, man. It's gonna be a good battle. It should be good. It'll be close.
It's gonna be crazy.
Let's pause this. Round one, basic dunks. Dunkers will complete each of the following dunks: a one-hander, a 360, 1 mil East Bay. Round two, what's in your bag? Dunkers will each select 5 dunks made during the session to be scored out of 10 points. That's sick. Round three, best dunk. Dunkers will select their best dunk from the session to be scored out of 15 points. I like that. What do you think of this?
Basic dunks. What's in your bag? Oh, so it's like after the fact. Oh yeah, this
Yeah.
is cool. Yeah, I like it. Like it's not like pressure. It's just like do the session and keep in mind that you have to pick 5 dunks at some point.
Yeah.
So
I like this way better. If all contests were like this, it would be so much more fun. Like you would see crazier stuff, and it would be
and
more fun as a
you
dunker.
would probably go.
Yeah. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, the audio is weird. You can turn it up a little bit, actually.
Okay.
God damn. I've seen him dunk harder.
I wonder what he's using to score.
Subjectivity.
Jeez.
I've
like
seen,
Mason's.
Yeah, but I've seen Donovan like punch harder one-handers.
Donovan just jumped high.
Ooh, that was a sick style. That's what I like, where he like kind of cuffs it back. Like I don't like when people reach high unless they.
Yeah.
I guess Billy does based on that score. Let's see what Mason does though. I think Donovan. That's my preference.
I like Mason.
Nice though.
He got
They're
higher.
both nice. Oh, same score. Look at that.
Oh my god.
What the hell? Dude, that's a 5. I've never seen a better windmill in my life.
Yeah, I'm curious what a 5 would be.
Damn. Is this 10?
Yeah.
Damn.
Wow.
It's crazy. Like they both dunk so hard.
I love it.
Damn.
My God, dude, it's like a gunshot.
Damn.
That's awesome. That's a 4. How did it? Wait, pause this. How the fuck is this scored?
I don't know.
Like, who decided that was a 4.95? But the wood, like, I don't.
And the other thing is, I don't know how the hell I would dictate like a 0.1 difference. Like
Yeah, like how are did CJ score this with the what's it called? Maybe
possibly like the WDA.
maybe I don't know. All right, you ready? Next one. It kind of messed. Oh wait, here we go.
I wonder if they did like one try.
Still, that's really good for Mason to be at that level against Donovan because
You gotta think Donovan is essentially the best dunker in the world right now.
No, I know that's what I'm saying.
So the fact
How
that
did they get an
Mason's even
8.7? What is this? This is so weird. Oh, Dylan was there. All right, let's see what we got. 360 cuff windmill. I like that.
Yeah.
That's good style. I like that.
Damn.
Yeah.
I like how you brought it up first.
So it was 8.7 versus 8.4. Is that what it was? 360 windmill.
Oh
I
my.
know every time, dude. Yeah, that was nasty.
You died.
The biggest difference between them is Donovan just jumps a little higher.
You think so?
Their style is actually stupid similar. Like if Mason
Yeah.
jumped 3 inches higher, I wonder what the difference in wingspan is between them.
I don't
That
know.
was decent.
Donovan, I think, has shorter arms, right?
I don't know.
Oh, that was good. Was that Chris
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
That looked really clean. That's looked
That
good.
was
I like
super
that.
light. I feel like
What was it? What did his 360 windmill get?
the opposite arm.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I kind of short that one every time.
Dunkers are getting so much better.
Yeah, it's insane.
Wow.
Remember when he didn't try stuff?
Yeah.
God damn.
That's crazy.
So they have 10 dunks here or 5?
I think 5.
I love a double elbow. I love a double elbow. I think it's a hard ass dunk, and he does it so easily.
He does it off the dribble too. Like nobody does that off the dribble.
Yeah, I think he could do a crown off the dribble.
Mason's
Actually.
underrated as hell.
He is. Like, both of them technically are.
Yeah, they're both underrated.
Hey,
Oh, that's
hey.
yeah, that's good. That's a good dunk.
The score, but I mean, the under both is still.
Is he gonna hit under both? No, he's doing some cuff. Slingshot. Oh, he
Damn.
crushed that.
He was kind of flying this session.
Both of them were. Donovan's windmill was crazy. I don't know if it was the angle, but it looked insane. All right, what are we doing here? Some spin. Oh!
Wow.
Oh my god.
Crazy,
His
crazy,
hands are
crazy.
I think his hands are just a little bit better than Mason's.
Yeah.
Oh.
Hey, what?
Wow. Just a little bit. Like, I feel like
What?
Mason's like 10 months from being at that level with his hands in vertical.
It's
Man,
nuts
maybe
how
we do.
good Donovan's hands are. Like, what made him that coordinated?
Dude, I
What
talked
makes him
about
that
it.
coordinated, you know?
I talked about it on the phone with him for a while,
Now he's gonna make it.
and I have a couple ideas on that.
Hey,
Like, what is this?
Bro, what?
hey.
Is that an under both scorpion?
Yeah.
I've never seen Donovan get that hype.
He was waiting. He was first try.
That's
What?
why he got hype right there.
So this is their best dunk?
Hey.
Bro,
Wow.
these are both nasty. Oh my god.
Bro,
He crushed that.
They've done 3 dunks in a row I've never done. I've never done an underbow scorpion. I've never windmill cuff elbow, like off a cuff. I've never double elbowed off the dribble.
winner of the first ever Dunkademics 1v1
Do we want to watch the rest of the session or just cut it there?
Donovan Hawkins. He gets to keep his own basketball.
4 minutes.
Actually, I'm gonna give him some. I'm gonna bend
I'm actually we can cut it there. I'm curious. I wanna talk about them.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
I
So,
wanna wait, hold up. Let me pause this real quick.
oh, there we go. We time skipped. That was very entertaining. I thoroughly enjoyed that. So what you need to know about me, and this might not come as a surprise to any of you, is that I love right, left, right hand dunkers who jump super high and punch the living shit out of dunks. And turns out both of these guys do that incredibly well. And
Yeah.
well, it's really same plant, same hand. So like left, right, left hand as well, which is ironic because Isaiah's left, right, right hand.
Yeah.
Just it sounds bad coming out of my mouth. But I also appreciate very difficult technical dunks. And that's probably what I like the most about watching you dunk. And when you go left, right, left hand, those are my favorite stylistically speaking.
Yeah.
And I just like jumping high. Like when you jump super high and you're floating and you're looking near the rim, and then it's like your neck's there and you just kind of like, yeah, I love that. So for me personally, watching both these guys is very fulfilling, having gotten to coach Mason since I was in California coaching the USU guys. So I think that was 2.5 years ago, 2 years ago. And Mason's gotten way better, way, way, way better. And,
Mm.
Donovan as well, seeing him just kind of continue to improve, and both these guys as they learn about their bodies and stuff like that. But I really, really enjoyed that. I want to hear what you were gonna say there and what you wanted to talk about. That was my
I
thoughts.
yeah, I wanted to talk about you and Donovan's conversation. Why do you guys think his hands are so are so
Oh,
nasty?
so yeah, we had Donovan called me the other day, and he's like, John, I need to call you. And he always does this, and it's always funny because he's like so serious. And I'm like, well, Donovan, what is it? Like, but he called me, and he's like, why is it that I was able to jump so high in such a short period of time relative to Isaiah? Like Isaiah had to train for a long, long time to get a 43, and then for a long, long time to get a 50. Why can I get, at least in terms of flight time, close to a 50 or 50, but it only took me like 10 months of actual lifting or whatever, or 5 months of actual lifting, and then 3 months of unloading, and then 1 month of training, 1 month off, 1 month of training, 1 month off. That was like what he did. And I was like, well, and he's like, other than me being genetically gifted. And I was like, well, that's kind of the answer. But so I went into a little bit more detail about nurture and how it played a role. And I kind of explained the nature of it, and that he has more type 2 fibers probably, and that his tendons are more well adapted for 2 foot jumping, and that allows him to take advantage of those type 2 fibers and jump really high. But then we started talking about how when he was a kid, his development was a lot different than yours. And I basically said, look, like I
Oh no. I think we lost John.
met. All
Oh,
right.
you're good.
So I was saying my internet cut out, guys. I'm back at home, and who knows, it's windy and cold. And the development between the two of them was different, right? Like Isaiah had less access to amenities. Like I said, I don't know what recorded or what didn't. I guess we'll see. But technical errors, holidays, whatever. Anyway, so the difference between the two of them, uh, Donovan growing up basically only functioned on the premise of having fun and the basis of having fun. The other thing is Donovan was more athletic than all of his peers pretty much his entire development. And he wasn't necessarily focused on the competitive aspects. He was just focused on having fun. So if he didn't like a sport, he wasn't going to do it. He was just going to go out with his friends every single weekend and go play that sport. And he did that all the way until he was 18, 19, right? He also didn't have knee pain. So that's the second thing, right? When he did, he completely stopped doing dunking and then just decided to go play baseball with his friends, go play football with his friends, go race. Like they just did activities. They didn't necessarily have a planned, structured program. Now, when it comes to long term athletic development, part of the thing that you have to remember as a coach is that you need what's called a multilateral development. And early sports specification can sometimes be, or specificity can sometimes be a negative outcome long term. And Isaiah, in your case, I think what happened is you did a lot of different sports at a really young age, but then you started to do just dunking, right? Like I would
Yeah.
say 17 or 16 onward, that was your main focus pretty much, right?
Yeah,
Donovan
from
didn't.
16 on. I mean, it was basically it was purely basketball from 15 onwards, and then purely dunking from like 16-ish onwards.
Yeah, and that made you an outlier early on, right? Like, when did you East Bay for the first time? When you were 16 or 17 or something?
17.
Yeah, you East Bayed at
It was like
17. That's
it was
unheard of.
within 8 months or 9 months of
That's
dunking for the
insane.
first time.
Yeah, that's insane, that
Yeah.
progress.
The
So,
the other thing too is I grew really late, and I think that was part of the reason I got tendon pain, is like I went from not jumping every day to jumping every single day, weight training, and hitting a growth spurt in the span of a year, so my outputs went, like, stupid crazy, like
and you weighed a lot more.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think yeah, like, the change in load was drastic, and if Donovan dissimilarly, if Donovan ever had knee pain, he just stopped. He didn't continue to dunk.
Yeah.
So, I think back to his hands and why they're so good, it's like Bo Jackson. Like Bo Jackson was a multi-sport athlete, right? He grew up doing track, played outside all the time, played baseball, played football, and didn't lift a weight at all. but had incredible coordination in pretty much everything he did. Like the legend of Bo Jackson, if you talk to people who were in his hometown or whatever, I'm sure you guys have seen that documentary. They talk about him like jumping over 30-foot moats. Not that that actually happened, but he probably did jump over like a 20-foot moat, and it was probably insane.
Yeah.
Like, and he just the point I'm trying to make is that, or like throwing a rock like 200 yards or whatever. The point I'm trying to make is all he did was compete and have fun, and he was excelling relative to his peers, and that long term, that's really good for athletic development. It's what makes the best athletes in the world the best athletes in the world. Like they have this multifaceted approach where they develop a lot of different skills that in a way end up assisting their long-term development.
Donovan jumped every day too, though, right? Like
But for like 2 months and then stopped,
so
or
that
maybe 3. Then he
'cause I
just stopped
thought
for a couple of months and then did other sports and stuff like that.
yeah,
And he played hockey. He stopped playing organized sports at 16. He just had fun after that. Like he just did stuff.
that's crazy.
And you were focused on being on your basketball team. You know, you were focused on being the best dunker. You were focused on like
I was trying to make the NBA.
exactly. And I
Like,
think that that
everything I did was with the goal of being the best at it.
yeah.
Like, I
And I don't think
never
there's anything wrong with that. It's just that
yeah,
if if you do that when you're older and you have like more time doing other sports, it ends up being to your benefit. But in
yeah,
America, we don't have that luxury, right? Because in America, your success is predicated on your success when you're younger. We have kids that get scholarships when they're 14. They get full rides to D1 universities.
yeah,
Sometimes they get taken away, but like you see that happen pretty frequently where these kids will have this crazy success when they're young, and it's like the book Range. That book you're reading right now,
yeah,
they talk about this. And then, you know, they go on and maybe they're successful, maybe they're not. But typically early specialization is a recipe for injury. It's actually amazing that you are able to come out of your early specialization and be as successful as you are, because oftentimes that doesn't happen. Like if you see a
yeah. I
protege at a really young age, they're not typically at the highest level when they become adults.
yeah. The
Part of that
thing
is I
is
made you stop dunking.
the thing is I don't even consider myself, like, on the continuum of specialization. I don't even consider myself that highly specialized because of my upbringing. Like, there's athletes that are only basketball from the age of
Right.
6 all the way
Well, that's the
onwards.
thing too, is it's like until 14, you did other sports, like a
Yeah,
lot of other sports.
yeah, yeah,
And that's still, but if you think about like how good you were and how you did specialize like later in high school,
yeah,
now I guess it's kind of common in dunking. We don't really have enough data to like say definitively what is the best time to specialize for dunking. But
yeah,
like basketball is typically college. That's like where you're going to see hyperspecificity. And if you do it too early, it's generally not to your benefit.
yeah.
Like gymnasts have to specialize when they're like 13 because they peak when they're 16. And if you
And there's
look at like
also an argument to be made for, like, the more technical the sport is, the
the
more
earlier you have to start.
yeah,
Yeah.
because I think being a generalist early on can lead to better athleticism. Like, you can probably run faster, jump higher, and that type of thing. If you played a lot of ball sports, it can help with acquiring, uh, skills with that. Like, for example, if you grow up throwing a football, catching a football, baseball, helps your hand-eye coordination, that can translate later on to learning dunks. But for something like shooting a basketball, for example, like, that's something that needs to be acquired early on and then like, thousands and thousands of reps.
Yeah, like
Uh,
the touch of
yeah,
doing it.
need to be put in.
Yeah, and I
I
think
think for
that's
dunking,
like the
it's
delicate
yeah,
that's like the delicate balance between the 2 is that you have to have some level of specificity, obviously, or else you're not gonna acquire the skill at all. But it's really
yeah,
how much time do you put into that versus how much time are you putting into other things and when do you do that? And I don't think it's like a hard science, but it's like you were saying with dunking where it is very, very technical with the hand speed and things like that, right? Like you have to have some, you need to know how to spin, and you need to know
yeah,
how to do a transfer while you're spinning. And then you need to know how to jump high and spin and do a transfer while you're spinning, or sometimes 2 transfers in your case.
yeah,
Uh like
yeah,
so, and I think that when you're looking at strictly just why Donovan's hands have developed as quick as they have, I think that's a big reason why. But also, I mean, dude, well, I guess his reach is kind of what's his reach? A2? You think H3?
A2.
A3? A2?
Yeah,
So he's got about an inch on you. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't hit quite the same, dunk difficulties at this point in his career. I mean, he's only 21,
Yeah.
but I
Well,
think
that's what
that
I was gonna bring up too is when you think of, like, specialization, I think Donovan, he's really good at those, like, for example, like, the single transfer dunks, and then he's fastest like, his hands are fast, like, his hand speed, how fast he moves his limbs across the air, is very, very quick, and that's more so I think where his strength is, but when it comes to, like, transferring twice, like, if you were to I mean, I'd be curious to see, but, like, if you were to ask him to try a double East Bay or anything with a throw, like lost and found and, like, that type of thing, I think that's where it gets, like, really, really difficult. Because if you have a 49-inch vertical with a 8'2" reach and fast hands, I feel like it would be hard not to, like, you know what I mean? Like, you can move your limbs quickly, like
yeah, like everything should be easy. Yeah,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
the thing is the transfers really, I think, change it, right? Like, and having longer arms when you're having longer arms when you are relatively tall makes the ball have to travel a really long distance. And for Donovan, he is able to have super high speeds despite how far the ball is actually moving.
yeah,
So I think like we saw him throw a baseball whenever we went to play bowling, and Donovan like he beat me by like 15 miles an hour. I think he beat you by like 5 or something, right?
yeah,
Something like that. I don't remember. Like he is just his limb speeds are crazy. I mean, he's just naturally very very fast and explosive and wired as an athlete. Like random shit. You'll be like, why are you good at this? Like it
yeah,
doesn't make sense. And part of it, I think, is that multilateral development. And it's not like a dig on you or anyone else. It's just that he is an outlier in a lot of regards, right? Like he's kind of an ideal situation. And if he continues to nurture that, he's gonna end up being really, really, really successful long term. But I think when you look at the hyper challenging skills, like the Simone Biles gymnast skills that only she can do, like the kind of stuff that you and maybe one other person in the world can do, that's where, like you said, it does get really interesting because you're kind of in a uncharted territory. Like you don't see that in other sports really. Gymnastics is maybe the only thing where you would see like this kind of physical demand that your performance skill wise is directly linked to, but it's also wildly, wildly dependent on your like coordination specific to that thing, right? Like
yeah,
flipping 6 times and rotating or whatever Simone Biles does, you're only going to do that in one sport. You're only going to do a double transfer while spinning in the air in dunking. So there has to be a level of hyper specificity and it probably stacks like it's like we call it blocking in coaching. So like you learn to do a 360, then you learn to do an east bay, then you learn to do a
yeah,
360 east bay, then you learn to do a double 360 east bay. They all build on each other and they're all like beneficial. One helps the other. But at what point do you start to develop that skill and how beneficial is that? I don't know if there's a definitive answer. I just think that when you look at why he's as good as he is with relatively less time, I think it's that he did a broader array of things for longer, and he's
yeah,
more genetically biased for type 2 fibers than you are. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Like it's almost like if he doesn't do a 720 double East Bay, then he should consider himself a failure. He had all the best situations line up for him. No, I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
yeah,
But yeah, I think that's part of it. And then not to ignore Mason here because I want to kind of talk about that too. Mason's really interesting because Mason was not, I don't even think he was a starter on his basketball team, right?
no, he wasn't.
Like he's 6'4", also pretty freaking coordinated. He's a very kind of similar case. Like he just naturally has a knack for handling a ball. He can do 1 foot dunks like Donovan. Like it's almost like I would say Mason's probably slightly less genetically gifted compared to Donovan, but not like he's more like you, I think. That when I look at
Yeah,
Mason, I view him kind of more like you. Like he has to train hard and dial everything in perfectly to be able to see the success that he's seen. Like Mason, Donovan can afford to take a month off and because of his nervous system being so sensitive, it he'll probably still fly. Like he's gonna fly.
Yeah.
And Mason, if he were to take a month off, is probably not gonna be to his benefit, right? Like Mason doesn't even respond linearly to tapers and unloads. Like Travis Slade, he responds linearly to unloads. Like if you give him a 2-week taper, he'll fly. Literally the highest ever, every single time.
Yeah.
Mason's not like that. Like Mason's is relatively unpredictable when he's going to jump high and when he's not going to jump high. Like he's very um it's kind of like me in that sense. Like I never know, you know what I mean? I would say now I've kind of figured it out when I'm in my 30s, but it's taken a long time to get to that point. Whereas Mason, I don't even think he's like fully figured out how much training he needs, how training impacts his body. We're still kind of like problem solving. Because I would say Mason jumped great here. And even at dunk camp, I would say he jumped great. But if you ask Mason, Mason will be like, I didn't jump that well relative to my best. And then I'll be like, what dictates when you jump your best and when you don't? And he's like, I don't know. It's random. I'm like,
For Mason, I think I always just see him jump the same, like, which is high. Like I always
he's like always high.
like I don't see a big discrepancy in
between
his.
like a taper and training months and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. It just seems like he's always jumping. Like,
well, yeah, and
well, yeah.
and his like knees don't really. I mean, he gets like a little bit of knee pain, but it's not like I think it's his meniscus maybe bothers him a little bit. He's now half squatting 415. Like he's just consistently gotten better as
Yeah.
I've coached him, you know. And his verticals, he's testing better in his vertical. Like I want to see, you know, as time goes on and we collect more data, which is always what coaching is. You're just always collecting data. I want to see what happens to his performance and his power output because he's super strong. Like I'm talking some of the strongest legs, biggest legs I've ever seen. Donovan's legs surprised me the last time I saw him how big his legs got. But like Mason's legs, I feel like have always been like that. Like they are just
Yeah.
massive. His quads are massive. His calves are massive. You know, even his hips. And then he's leaned up. He lost a lot of weight. So I think, you know, if he can continue to stay the course and be smart, like Mason's biggest thing is he this is going to sound weird, but he works too hard. Like he doesn't take time off. He doesn't rest. That's probably the biggest thing that he has to worry about because I could see him just working himself into an absolute hole and not letting himself recover. He likes to train, and we love coaching people like that love to train. But as he learns more about his body and understands like when he needs rest and when it's going to benefit him versus be detrimental, I think that he's going to take that next step upwards. And then, you know, the other thing too, and this would be my closing thoughts is consistency. Like he's one of the most consistent athletes on the training, I would say. All the Utah guys are. Like I don't know what it
Yeah.
is about Mormons, but like that is my bread and butter. If you grew up Mormon, you like just sign up now, you're gonna be successful. Like Isaiah had a Mormon influence, Mason had a
Just the
Mormon influence,
discipline, bro. Having to
Travis.
show
No,
up for 3
literally,
hours every Sunday, and then you got scouts on Wednesday. You got to show up, and then and then you
whether
got
you're
to
still
do
a Mormon or not,
fast offerings. You ask people for money once a month in the heat and the
dude,
snow.
it's part of your multilateral development. You develop this grit that I think is
Yeah.
really valuable for training. It's just like it's beneficial for me as a coach whenever guys have this like I had shitty circumstances all the time because my parents were strongly Mormon and forced me to. It's good.
You know what's crazy about that is like obviously growing up in Utah and doing sports, the difference going from there to Florida was insane. Like I went to the basketball team in Florida and it's like half the team has attitude problems and then they're not trying hard in the weight room and it's just like things like that you never saw that in Utah. Like in Utah
Really?
it's just
You think the
everybody.
parents just like beat the shit out of their kids and that they have to?
I
Is
don't
that like
know.
what it
I don't
is?
like I don't know what it is. Like I think it's inherently a lot of it. We had a conversation similar to this, but like a lot of the guys in Utah are just not talented. Like there's not a lot of like natural freak athletes, and the guys have to work for it. Like basketball wise, I will say like fundamentals and shooting, like everybody was way better in Utah compared to
Really?
Florida. Florida, the difference was I had seen one person dunk. Two people, if you include my uncle, when I played with my uncle. I had seen two people dunk my whole life. I turned 16, and then I guess me included, like I started being able to
3?
dunk. So I was 3, maybe a couple basketball players here and there that I saw like rim grades or something like that.
We're talking to all the schools, all the high schools,
Yeah,
all
it was
the
probably
names.
less than 10 for sure, less than 10. Minimum, probably 3, 4, maximum, like, 7, 8. Then I moved to Utah. The first day I go to a park, there's,
Wait,
like,
Utah
4
or
guys.
Florida?
I mean, Florida. The first
Okay,
when I first the first month I moved to Florida, first time going to an outdoor park, there's, like, 4 guys dunking. Like,
at a
and
random park.
it was just like, "What the hell is this? What's in the water out here?"
Better athletes, dude. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how it was similar for me here. I mean, it's weird because I didn't like move in high school to Florida from Pennsylvania or whatever, but I'm sure, being around a better upper echelon of athlete, I would have been like, fuck, like what?
Yeah,
Like, I would have been surprised. But yeah, I mean, maybe it is related to the talent thing where it's like, I will not be able to dunk naturally. Therefore, I am required to do these things that, if you have better talent, like if you're a Donovan, you could just go out and dunk for 2 months straight every day and your vertical goes to 43. Like
yeah.
Donovan's baseline was 46, dude, 45. You got to think about that. When he came to me, when I asked him if he like
Oh,
was
nuts.
still dunking, he had a 45.
Yeah.
That was his baseline, dude. Your baseline coming
Without
to
weight
like,
training.
yes, exactly. Your baseline with weight training was 43.5. And that was after
Yeah.
years and years and years of jumping every day
I'm
and lifting.
That's so weird. I do think I would have a higher baseline without knee pain, though. Like,
That's
I
also
think
what I was saying though. That's what I was saying though, is I was like, if Isaiah never gets knee pain,
yeah.
like you
It's
probably
such
would you
it's
probably
such
would have
a
came in
I
at
mean, it's
45.
impossible. Like, it's literally impossible to predict. If I were to guess without weight training at all, my baseline would probably be like 43,
I
44,
was
right
thinking
in there.
I was thinking like 43 if you came in with that. But like there's so many other things too, and you'll see this in the book Range because some people are better responders. Even though your baseline's higher, whether you respond to training or not is
Yeah.
mega important.
I've
Like you
always
could
said
come
I
in
can
100 as a
I've
10.5.
always said I can sniff a weight room and I'll get better.
Exactly. Like you're a high responder, and I've seen it with you and Austin. Like
Yeah.
you guys will do the same training, and your vertical will go up, and Austin's might go down, or it might stay the same. Sometimes, I mean, typically, there's other variables in there with Austin because he's an anomaly and adds chaos to his life. But if you were to remove the chaos, Austin does respond now relatively similar. I think he's adjusted to the workload and he's figured out how
Yeah.
to make adjustments that work for him. But you're definitely a high responder. You respond so traditionally to training, I almost don't have to worry at all. Like I know if I follow traditional periodization guidelines with you,
Yeah.
it's gonna work. I could like as long as I follow those basic rules,
Just read a
I'm good to
textbook
go.
and just read a
What's
textbook
that?
and just read a textbook and
Well, okay,
follow
there
what
are
they
slight differences. There are very slight differences, but like that I've learned those over years. Like for example, overreaching did not work with you with jump training. Like it just did
Yeah.
not work and I will never do it again.
Well, I think a
Um
lot of the variances come down to injury though, and
Yeah, I
getting
will say
into
that. Like, if you're healthy, assuming you were healthy, yeah, it would be just 1 to 1. Like, I did
yeah,
this, I gave this, this happened. Your physiology is very predictable. Whereas, like,
yeah,
Donovan's relative more predictable, Mason's is very unpredictable. All I know is that as Mason trains, he has ups, he has downs, and he gets better year to year. Like, that's what I see with Mason. So, yeah, I think it's a good place to stop. We're 33 minutes in. This is a fun one. Mason, Donovan, we love you both. This and Isaiah,
yeah.
I love you as well. This has nothing
Fun
to do
video to
with
watch.
yeah, this has nothing to do with anything about you as a person. I'm just giving my objective lens on your relative outputs and your developments. Yeah, I just try to be as unbiased as possible with this. So if you're interested in getting coaching by us, go to THPStrength.com. We coach obviously a lot of very talented athletes. And if you want to reach your genetic potential, we can definitely give you the best chance of doing that. So
And it's
go sign up.
50% off for like 2 more days. Today's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Yeah, 3 more days.
Perfecto. All right. See you guys. Zay, can you end it?
I will end it right now. Goodbye.